Aloha, everybody. It is I, the Great Clement, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to finish the Sonic Boom franchise with the last and best game in the series. This is Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. It was released for the Nintendo 3DS back in 2016, and it's a spiritual successor to Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. It has pretty much the exact same gameplay. It is also developed by Sanzaru Games, but unlike Shattered Crystal, this game I would not consider mediocre. They actually took a lot of the criticism of the previous game to heart and actually improved a lot of things. The control is tighter, the levels are shorter, the forced collectathon stuff that was in Shattered Crystal, all the emblems you needed to get in order to make it to the future levels, all of that stuff has been scrapped completely, and now you can just play through the levels like a normal Sonic game. You don't need to collect anything in order to reach the final boss and get the ending, so thank God for that. But there's a lot more activities, there's like more boss fights, since like Shattered Crystal only had one with Lyric at the very end, and this is a huge improvement, and the one Sonic Boom game I can actually recommend to people. Yeah. Maybe Sonic Dash 2, but then again, I haven't played it. I'm sure it's just like Sonic Dash 1, but yeah, folks, let's get into it.
Ragnium, my ultimate weapon! Power to fuel my revenge! Revenge against Sonic!
X marks the spot.
Last of the science poll thingies are in. Ready to go online, Tails?
I've been ready since this crazy weather started. I've never seen anything like it, and I've seen lots of crazy things. If this keeps getting worse, it's gonna be game over for the world.
Okay, Amy, batter up. Whew. Whoa.
Must have charged us up somehow. These powers are incredible.
Incredible times a million. That was the most insanely awesome thing I've ever seen. Tails, did you catch that?
I saw the whole thing. I also saw that the weather in your area improved when you closed that fissure. Meet me as soon as you can. I gotta run some tests.
And no, Sonic, you don't need to study for them.
Oh boy, what was that? What just ran past the screen? Ugh! Anyway, folks, now we're on the stage select screen, and look at the bottom screen. The hammers, the coils, the trading card pieces. We do not need to collect any of those things in order to reach the final boss of the game. There are no emblems required to activate certain stages. Thank God, that makes this so much better than Shattered Crystal by default, just because of that decision. But because this is a Let's Play, and because I want to show off the entire game, I am still going to be going for all of the collectibles anyway. And the good news about this first level, I don't need Tails, or Sticks, or Knuckles, or anybody else in order to get all the collectibles in this stage. I can get every single collectible with just Sonic, which means I don't have to go back and replay this level later, which means I could just do it here and now. And it's already like way better designed than Shattered Crystal was, you know? I don't have any animosity towards Sanzaru Games. I'm not really sure what they were, you know, thinking when they made Shattered Crystal. Maybe there were time constraints, maybe there's a lot of stuff they couldn't play test, or things they thought would work out and it just didn't really work out. But with the sequel, they clearly picked up on what didn't work with the last game in order to make this a lot more streamlined and a lot better, and it's all the more fun because of it. But I'm not going to say it's like one of the best Sonic games I've ever played or anything. It's the one good Sonic Boom game that I can actually go back to and replay just fine. I can actually recommend this game to people, and I couldn't do that for Shattered Crystal, you know? But don't expect this to be as good as like Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Mania, or whatever, if you're looking for like the best 2D Sonics. It is still, at heart, the same game as Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. Sonic has a spin dash, but it's not really good for getting momentum or anything. It's just used to attack robots. You're not going to do it downhill, and then he's just going to keep rolling and rolling, and whoa, he's going so fast. It's really just a melee attack. Sonic still has a run button, so if you're not holding the Y button, he's just going to casually jog and walk everywhere, and whenever I'm going super fast across the screen, that's me holding the Y button down. If I'm not holding the Y button down, he's not going fast. So you still have to get used to that. And as you can see, we still have the Enter Beam, the laser whip, to swing on all of these hooks, because that mechanic is back. Although, you don't actually use it to take out enemies this time around. None of the enemies that you come across will have shields, and you don't use the Enter Beam when on the ground. If you push the A button, nothing's gonna happen. You don't have the Enter Beam attack anymore. So it's really only used for swinging around with the platforming and not for actual combat. For the most part, Sonic is exactly as he was. You know, he's still homing attacks. He still does his air dash by using the X button. Basically, you jump and push the X button, he will dash ahead. If you aim up with the control pad or control stick, or sorry, you can't play with the control pad, just the control stick, because the control pad switches through the menus and stuff. But if you hold up on the control stick and push X, he will air dash up, and then you can air dash to the left or right after air dashing up. So you usually have 2 air dashes. But as you've probably noticed from the gameplay, it is so much faster than it was in Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. With Shattered Crystal, the air dash was like up, left, left. But in Fire and Ice, it goes so much quicker that it's like up, left, and it makes the speedrun game so much better with this one, because Sonic is he just has so much more mobility than he did in the last entry. One of my favorite things about Fire and Ice is going through every level again and trying to beat the time trial, beating the clock on the bottom screen. Like, I have to beat this in under 1 minute and 45 seconds in order to get all the Ragnium that this level can give you. And, man, when Sonic's air dash is as quick as it is, when you can just, like, blast through things, and the levels are so much shorter that they can actually be beaten in 2 minutes, this is a really fun game to speed through. And I would actually recommend, you know, you're either doing a collectathon playthrough, which is fun all by itself, or you're doing a speedrun playthrough of Fire and Ice, which is so damn satisfying. Like, this is a really fun game to speed through, and I would recommend it for speedrunners because it's really, really fun. But new to Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, we actually get to play around with Amy Rose. She was captured by Lyric in the last game, so we didn't get to play around with her, but now we get to in this one, and basically her special ability is she uses her hammer in order to lower a whole bunch of pillars. So right here, anytime there's a pillar in the way, you just push X in order to slam down, and then the pillar will go down and eventually go back up. And that's pretty much it. Honestly, it is the weakest and lamest ability of all the 5 characters. Styx' boomerang is way better. Knuckles digging through the ground is way better. Tails using the wind turbines and like aiming his laser and stuff. I think that's all more enjoyable. It's just because the pillars are kind of slow, so anytime you actually have the pillar system... I was just boasting about this game's speedrunning stuff, but like this is the one level that's actually kind of slow because of the pillar stuff. And it's the one level that has the most pillars because it's kind of introducing Amy's gameplay, you know, so most of the rest of the levels after this aren't going to be like this, and yeah. And the one mechanic that I'm obviously not talking about, it's the title of the game, the Fire and Ice. For some reason, when tampering with the fissure in the very opening cutscene of the game, Sonic and Amy got fire and ice powers. And that becomes a huge mechanic with this game because there is ice and water everywhere, and in order to make sure that you walk on water cubes so that you don't just fall through it and go into spikes or whatever, you have to turn into ice by pushing L or R on the Nintendo 3DS. And that's all you have to do to cycle from fire to ice. Just push L or R, and you'll just transition from one of the two modes. And if you see a block of water, if you're ice, you will turn it into, you know, a solid chunk of ice, and then you'll be able to walk all over it. If you see a chunk of ice and you want to go through it, then you have to turn into fire so that it will turn into water, and so you can just pass right through it. So that's really all there is to it, and most of the time the ice always has a very big telegraphed fireball symbol on it. So it's telling you, like, hey, maybe you should use fire here. Like, the pillars have hammers on them, so maybe you should use a hammer here. This is still a game for children, so they're trying to give you the idea of what you should be doing with every single obstacle, but it's just kind of silly that, like, why is there a fire icon on the ice? I don't know. It's for the children, so that they know they have to switch to fire. But it's an interesting new mechanic for this game that wasn't part of Shattered Crystal, and sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be a little like, ugh, because you have to react to stuff really quick sometimes. Like, you could be running down a pathway, and then you have to, like, go through a whole bunch of ice with the firepower, and then you'll be coming up to a pool of water that you need to be ice in order to walk over it. Otherwise, you're going to fall into the pit or into the spikes or whatever. So you actually have to pay attention as you're running through that whatever you're approaching is the right, you know, element for whatever your fire and ice power is. Like, sometimes you just have to keep switching on the fly. And it's really simple and quick. All you have to do is push L or R, and you instantly transition to fire or ice. And this is a huge mechanic of the game. It's used in every single level. We will be encountering water and ice everywhere. So, yeah, you better get used to it now. You better get used to it now. Otherwise, you know, as you can see, it's basically just Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal again, only the levels are much shorter, so they're much better paced, and we don't have to collect anything. Oh, these rings right here, they're going to be active for a short period of time. Eventually, they're going to disappear, so you have to be really, really quick. But if you grab every single ring along the way before they disappear, you get a whole bunch of Ragnium. Ragnium is the green metal stuff that comes out of the robots. It's a thing Eggman had in the opening cutscene. And we can use Ragnium in order to develop extra upgrades and stuff with Tails later down the road when we actually start getting access to the shops and whatnot. And it's also used to unlock extra features in the unlockables menu. So, like, if you want to see cool concept art and stuff, you need Ragnium in order to unlock all of those things. And, yeah. It's the collectible of Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. And aside from, like, the hammers and the scrap metal and the trading card stuff, we'll be seeing what all those stuff do when we actually get to Seaside Island. But for now, we're just in the ice world. Also returning from Shattered Crystal are the Sea Fox segments. These were mini-games that were placed in every single level where you piloted a small little submarine and you had to keep tapping the bottom screen in order to activate the sonar so that you could see where all the time bonuses were and all the explosives and all the obstacles. And they don't put them in every single level this time around, thank God, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of this activity, but they did bring it back for Fire and Ice. There is like one per world. There's usually one in every single map, so it's not nearly as much as it was in Shattered Crystal, but the mechanic is still back. And instead of having to get the item and then go back to the exit or find the exit, all you have to do is find the item and then it's done. So I beat this thing in like 30 seconds. But it's back, and Sonic Boom is back, folks. This is the last Sonic Boom Let's Play I'm going to be doing for this channel. So, yeah, we're almost out of this franchise. I know, you want normal Sonic again. It'll be over before you know it, and this game's still really, really fun, so I don't mind. So come on back for part 2.
Ragnium, my ultimate weapon! Power to fuel my revenge! Revenge against Sonic!